thank you and Gabby and Ryan White, Eric Pyle from the Wind Association. I mean, this was something that was thought about 12 months ago, and these gents have worked quite hard behind the scenes to assemble, and thank you to all you, a lot of your members, for putting your 2 bobs worth in. The idea of the symposium really was to share knowledge and see if we have a plan, if one comes up. So this presentation is really just about that sort of thinking. We chose symposium because we didn't want to talk about all the individual associations. We want to talk about collection opinions on one given subject, and we had quite a bit of discussion whether that should be renewable, carbon, greenhouse gases. We chose to transition to a lower carbon economy as the point of difference is to connect the policy to business. The other definition of symposium the Greeks had was probably a better one, which was an after dinner piss up. That might come next. Okay, so there's 21 here, so it's a great contribution, a lot of good information, but a lot of stuff to filter through. We've tried to create some sort of scenario space, but we are trying to work from that to some more specifics this afternoon, get down to some good 4 or 5 points, and it'll all come up on that website, so it's a public information. So our objectives, the New Zealand position has been, I guess, well summarised this morning, and it's not that good, but it's a challenge. But the government does have to produce, a plan by 2020, get it ratified, I believe. So they've invited the conversation with us and the associations, and so we're underway. And it'll be a great mix of stuff. And as the previous gentleman alluded to, there's a net argument in forests, and then there's an agricultural mix. We really not worrying too much about that today, other than getting a view on what it can contribute. We're looking at the use of energy across the 3 sectors. It's probably fair to say the government's current plan, I guess if you call it that, relies pretty heavily on imported units. I'm no expert in it, but I think 80% of that deficit is assumed to be bought from offshore at the moment. So that's really our baseline for thinking of avoiding costs and building business growth. If we buy 80% of what we need offshore, the only reason we should do that is because they can produce it more efficiently or better or at lower cost than we can. So that's the challenge, really. Can we match up to the offshore market in terms of producing? I don't think it would take a rocket scientist to think this might be a scarcity market as we go forward. I don't know many countries that are so far ahead of their plan that they're anticipating selling us units. So I think the price can only get higher. So the opportunity should build quite quickly, which is what we want to bring the context to this. So the opportunity today, we've got natural resources. We've been a bit relaxed on carbon compared to many countries, blessed with renewables, blessed with renewable electricity, so we'll sort of sit back and use that as our carbon target in one sector. It's getting a bit more serious, and we're now having to engage some capital, some money, and human resources that mobilise a lot more than a few big electricity investments. It's going to take industry, as we talked about, and communities, and we've got community representatives here today, I believe, and we'll hear from some of those, I think, you and your next session. So that's about connecting with the local community, as the Mayor said. They need something tangible as well. They need some low-cost, quick wins, electric bikes, cheaper than cars. 2 benefits: get fitter. So there are some quick wins if we focus on them. But it's bottom up for us, so we're the bottom up people, and we've got a lot of policy people, I think, too. Welcome here today, probably the top down people, so opportunity to sort of make some connections with those people today. I'm not a scientist, probably failed science, so take all the guys' detail and say, well, there's three parts of this pie that we're talking about. We've deliberately left out agriculture and forestry today because it's just too big, and we wanted to focus on the use of energy as much as anything else. And they're all pretty equal. One of the things that the reason we got all the associations together was we wanted a cross-sector view that we haven't, we've had a lot of conferences in our own associations, sort of smoking our own dope really, and nothing's been tested too much. A lot of the associations, I think it'd be fair to say the guys that had to assemble those numbers probably struggled once they knew that they were going to be sort of tested or put across to other associations. So that's all good. Part of it is to challenge, some of the numbers, some of the dreams, and come down to some realities. So we're sort of inviting you this afternoon to look a bit further than just the numbers and just ask the association representatives why they choose these inputs. Why? What's the knowledge? What's the institutional knowledge base behind those numbers? Or did you just make them up? In which case, we should throw them out. Go back and do the work again. We're sure we're looking for common areas of interest. We often lobby in these associations for our members, our industry, our members. That's all pretty natural competition stuff. But it'd be nice if as a group we actually recognise other sectors' opportunities, recognise they were better than ours, and actually got behind them as well to help them get a win as well in the policy arena or wherever else they're looking for help. Overall, we're going to get a good body of evidence, and the green folder's a start, but I think we can boil that down a bit to something a bit more clear. The gentlemen have just been up, really given us a nice quantitative framework to work with, which is fantastic. And this afternoon, we're really test driving this stuff, right? We're not trying to solve it. We're just saying, well, that's the knowledge that's on the table today. Can we help? Can we test drive this stuff? Can we learn a bit? Have we got some insight? That's what we're looking for. And I'll get to the facilitators. We've chosen them very carefully. They've got the big job today, and I'll come to that. So actually, we're looking at emissions as opposed to the size of the pie, but the emissions are in favour of electricity. It's a renewable thing. Transport and heat. Transport we've identified as the biggest opportunity in the pie to have a crack at. But by certainly no means the only pie. We're sort of looking for the opportunities across sectors, and the workshops will try and get us to some form of, what are the top 5 options we can see here, and facilitators will have a bit of a job to get there, but we need to try and hone in on that. What are the opportunities that are across the sectors? What are the opportunities in the sectors? Are the barriers that we really agree on, and key enablers? And Brian, you sent out to everyone that big list of, that looked like a whinge, really. There's a lot of stuff comes out of associations which is a bit of a whinge to the government, that what they should be doing, and that kind of had that flavour. So let's just park that and start thinking about what the business needs, or what we want, or what business could do, and then we'll go back to government and have a whinge about what they're not doing. So it's about the business and economy enablers. And so the way that we see this going forward is you've got to get a credible plan to get any money anyway from anyone. And the strategy and the ETS is really a bit of an opportunity to put placeholders in there. but don't rely on it. We've tried to build businesses on ETS 5 years ago and got nowhere really. So it's a part of the framework, but it's not the end game. You know, the end game is about what's doable. So what we try to do is through the process up to today is get a quantitative assessment of the opportunities. So we've deliberately gone through the associations as a filter. So we're not really that interested in other people's numbers today, because if you've got numbers, join an association, debate them there and bring them through. What we're really interested in is the quantitative view of those numbers today, or the qualitative view. What do you think of those numbers? You know, collectively in groups, what do you actually think about those opportunities and those numbers? Can we get that insight, that knowledge, you know, that institutional knowledge that's out there, and there's a lot of good knowledge in the room. Can we actually add some value to those quantitative numbers? And as a group, we might decide that they're crap at the end of the day, and we go back to the drawing board. But we really want to get that view of how they connect to business, how they connect to policy, and how they connect to New Zealand. Chris Mulcair is running one of the groups. He's reminded us we've got to be creative as well. We can't all be scientists. So there's plenty of creative people in the room. So out of that discussion, we hope there's also some great ideas. You know, for the association to take away some good ideas back to their membership, who might all be scientists or whatever, and just, you know, give them something to think about. And if we do that well, then I guess we're on our way to some kind of action plan that we can work on and credibly put to government as the best shot we've got at getting to that lower carbon economy. So we've got 3 wise men running these workshops. Just a big thanks to you guys, because I don't envy what you guys do this afternoon, so anticipation. Really appreciate the help. But we've picked these gentlemen for their experience, not for their association with any particular sector. They've got experience right across the sectors. Chris coming through sort of New Capital, his business, and NZTE, so he's got a lot of experience in business growth economy stuff. He's going to lead out the transport sector discussion. We've seen from the Waikato gentleman's slides that light vehicles have got a special space because we all drive them, and they're the worst offenders, so it's easy for us to relate to that. I guess I'm sort of saying also think about, you know, how they relate to public transport infrastructure or fleet replacement strategies. Are we doing technology substitution, or are we actually substituting all the EVs in New Zealand, all the private vehicles, produce something productive in the economy? So should we support it, or should we just let it happen with consumers? You know, is there other things that maybe not as quick win, but maybe more productive in terms of the end game? And what do those assets look like as a group? And I think Bill's got some good stuff on that asset fleet. How long does that asset fleet take to turn over? And how does that compare to other asset fleets and infrastructure that needs turning over? Heavy vehicles, you know, the primary producers are big emitters. Some of them have got very large asset bases in heat, but they also have buying power in transport. So maybe we reward them. You know, we may penalise them with carbon on one hand, but we may reward them for how they work their transport fleets, or use rail, use marine, or whatever. So there are opportunities to help these industries, not just penalise them. And some of that locational stuff's pretty interesting in terms of regional development. Okay, just introducing the electricity sector workshop. Bill Heaps, Australia Consulting, is going to run that. Again, Bill's been involved in the industry and market design. We heard earlier that the market design is pretty important in terms of facilitating investment. And Bill's got good experience in there. The industry itself, and I live in this industry, is facing significant changes, risks to investment, economic downsizing of its infrastructure. Consumers are getting much more power in terms of contributing to that sector. You know, and all these things are going to impact the investment confidence, business confidence, and then on the other hand, you know, we see the opportunity to go from 80% to 120%, and that's big business stuff. So we've actually got two sort of competing tensions there. Last one's Richard from ECA, and Richard's going to run the heat workshop, and you know, we've had a good list of stuff from our friends from Waikato there. It's one of the more challenging sectors, so I'll leave it at that. Going forward, we will try and take forward from here some good stuff. We will try and get some sort of a roadmap up, and we will try and engage with government as a group and get a plan that works for all associations. And I'll just refer back to that website for you to keep in touch with that. Okay, that's the scene setter for this afternoon. Now I'd just like to invite Ewan back. He's going to run a panel looking at some of the uptake challenges. I'd like to invite these people up, my way.